Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are opening up a stack of sources that deals with a really specific and a really strange legal puzzle.
Yeah, it's one of those.
It's the kind of thing that seems like a simple trivia question at first, but when you start to peel back the layers, it turns into this massive, almost an existential question for the idea of democracy.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of those topics where you pull on one little thread and the whole sweater starts to unravel.
Yeah.
We're getting into constitutional law, agency theory, political philosophy.
It gets deep fast.
It does.
And to kick things off, I want to start with that trivia question. It's a classic, right? Something you'd get in a civics class.
Right.
Without looking it up, what are the explicit, and I mean literally written down qualifications to be president of the United States?
It's a great question because almost everyone assumes there's this, long checklist of requirements. That you had to be some kind of super citizen.
Exactly. But if we actually look at the text, Article 2, Section 1, there are only three.
Just three.
Number 1, you have to be a natural-born citizen.
Okay.
2, you have to be at least 35 years old.
Yeah.
And 3, you have to have lived in the U.S. for 14 years. And that is it. That's the entire list.
And that brevity, that shortness, it was by design. But what our sources are focused on today isn't what's on the list.
No.
It's what's so conspicuously absent from it.
Precisely. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to be a registered voter. Nowhere does it say you must possess the legal right to cast a ballot in order to, receive ballots cast for you.
And that omission, that's what creates the whole scenario we're unpacking today.
It's a paradox.
It's a total paradox. It feels like a glitch in the system. We know that in many U.S. states, if you are convicted of a felony, you're disenfranchised. You lose your right to vote.
Sometimes for a while, sometimes for good.
Right. It can be a very long-term removal of your rights.
So let's just paint the picture here. You could have a candidate who is legally barred from walking into a polling place to vote for dog catcher. But that exact same person is, technically, eligible to run for and hold the office of the President of the United States.
It's a bizarre legal reality. You are deemed unfit to participate at the absolute atomic level, casting one single vote.
The lowest possible bar.
Yet you are fully qualified to sit at the very top of the entire political hierarchy.
And that is the mission for this deep dive. We're not asking if this is fair or if we like it.
No, this isn't about specific candidates or politics.
We are looking at a structural legal question that these theory papers pose. Is the right to vote an implied prerequisite for the presidency?
Exactly. We're looking at the architecture. And the core argument in these documents is pretty bold. It's that representation requires membership.
Membership, okay.
If you are legally severed from the political body, can you logically even represent it? Or does that create a contradiction that the system itself just can't handle?
Okay, but I have to push back on that right away. I can just hear the strict textualists out there shouting right now.
Oh, for sure.
They'd say, look, the Constitution is a document. If it's not in the text, it's not a rule, period. If they wanted the president to be a voter, they would have written it. So isn't this all just wishful thinking?
That is the standard counterargument. The argument from silence. The idea that if it's not forbidden, it's permitted. But the sources we're looking at argue that in legal interpretation, silence doesn't always mean anything goes.
How so?
Well, it often implies what they call background assumptions.
Okay, give me an example of a background assumption we all accept, even if it's not written down.
Let's use an analogy from the source material. It's a bit morbid, but it proves the point perfectly.
Let's hear it.
The Constitution does not explicitly say that the president must be alive.
Wait, really? That's not in there.
Nope. It also doesn't say the president must be conscious or, legally sane. There is no clause that says the president cannot be in a coma.
Right, because that would be absurd. You can't do the job. You can't take the oath of office if you're not conscious.
Exactly. We treat being alive and conscious as ontological necessities.
Ontological necessity. Okay, let's define that. That's a heavy term.
Ontology is just the study of being, of what things are. So an ontological necessity means that for the role of president to even exist, certain basic things have to be true about the person.
You can't be a president if you're not a person.
Right. And the argument in our sources is that the right to vote belongs in that exact same category.
So just like being alive is the physical baseline, voting is the political baseline.
Precisely. The source material calls voting the minimal civic act that defines political personhood. It's the floor. If you are stripped of that capacity by the state, you've been removed from the political body itself.
And so the term representative becomes a category error. It's like appointing a rock to be a pilot.
Exactly. You can't represent a group you are not legally a part of. It's not just breaking a rule, it's a breakdown in logic.
Okay, I see the philosophical argument. It feels right. But the law isn't just about feelings, it's mechanics. So how do these sources translate that this is weird feeling into an actual legal framework?
That is where we get into agency law and the fiduciary doctrine. This is the engine room of the whole argument.
Agency law, that sounds like stuff for, like, sports agents or real estate. What's it doing here?
Because the presidency is, at its core, an agency relationship. In law, an agent acts on behalf of a principal. The president is the agent, and the people are the principal.
Okay, I'm with you. We hire the president to do a job for us.
And the source makes a really specific point based on the fiduciary doctrine which governs trust. It says, an agent cannot act for a principal from whom they are legally excluded.
So you can't work for the team if you've been kicked off the team?
Essentially, yes.
Yes.
If you are disenfranchised, your political membership is, and this is the word they use, severed. And if that membership is severed, your representative capacity is just voided. You can't be the voice of a group that is legally declared you are not one of us.
But is the president just an agent? People see the president as a commander, a leader. Agent sounds like an employee.
But in a constitutional democracy, they are an employee. They work for us. And this brings up the hierarchy of power the sources talk about.
Yeah.
They call voting the atomic unit of sovereignty.
Atomic unit. I like that. Break that down.
Think of it like physics. You have atoms. Everything else is built from those atoms.
Yeah.
In a democracy, the vote is the atom.
Okay.
The source argues that legislation is just aggregated votes. Elections are collective voting. And representation, that's just entrusted voting power.
So everything flows from that one tiny act of casting a ballot. If you don't have the atom, you can't build anything else.
Correct. So if you strip someone of the right to vote, you're saying this person no longer has sovereignty, you've removed their atomic capacity.
Right.
So here's the paradox. If the state says you are unfit to participate in political judgment,
Which is what disenfranchisement is.
how can this system at the same time claim, but you are fit to wield the highest political authority in the land?
It's a massive contradiction. You can't be trusted with the school board, but you can be trusted with the nuclear codes.
Exactly. The source emphasizes that an office like the presidency is an amplification of that basic capacity.
Yeah.
You can't amplify something that has been revoked. If you have zero sovereignty as a voter, you can't have maximum sovereignty as president.
It's a structural impossibility. Okay, but I want to play the skeptic again.
Go for it.
Because there's an obvious trapdoor here, right? It's the federalism defense.
Anti-buckets theory, yeah.
Exactly. States decide who votes. The federal constitution decides who can be president. Two different jurisdictions. So New York can say, you can't vote, but the U.S. Constitution says, you can run. Why doesn't that solve it?
That is the standard defense. And normally, we like to keep those lanes separate.
Right. It's how the country works.
But our source argues this defense actually creates a much deeper, much stranger problem.
Which is?
It creates what they call a dual legal identity. We are saying a person can be a non-citizen for democracy at the state level,
Okay.
but a supreme agent for democracy at the federal level.
It's like you have a split personality in the eyes of the law.
You're incompetent in one context and supreme in another, but about the same subject matter, democratic participation.
Huh.
And the assertion here is that no coherent constitutional system can sustain that kind of split. It's not that the text forbids it.
Yeah.
It's that the system creates this logical monster by allowing it.
Agency can't exist without membership. Authority can't exist without participation.
It's like saying you can be the Pope without being Catholic. It just doesn't make sense.
Which brings us to the part of the sources that I found the most, well, the most mind-bending.
Yeah, this is where it shifts from legal mechanics to political philosophy.
It's called the structural inversion of political representation.
Right. And this is the why it all matters part.
Right.
The source talks about two kinds of leaders, a delegate and an outsider.
Unpack that for us, because outsider is a campaign slogan, right? I'm a Washington outsider.
True, but they mean an outsider to the political establishment. The source means an outsider to the people.
Ah.
In a classical representative system, a representative is a member of the group who is elevated to lead it. You are one of us, a delegate.
One of us, chosen by us.
Yes, and that one of us part is critical. But the source argues Our current reality, if we allow this non-voter scenario, shifts to a model where representation is just being chosen by the people. It doesn't matter if you are one of the people.
So it's all about the process, the counting of the votes, not about the actual standing of the person being chosen.
Exactly. The source has a specific word for this. It's not representation, it's installation.
Installation. Wow. That sounds incredibly mechanical, like installing an app.
It is. The argument is that the presidency becomes a pure procedural artifact. The president isn't a peer representing the community. They're just a person occupying a slot produced by the people.
A slot produced by the people. That is a heavy phrase.
Well, think about it. If you say you don't need to be a voter, you don't need to be part of the political body, then yeah, you're just filling a slot.
It inverts the whole idea. Democracy is supposed to be about competence and consent.
Right. And this is saying our definition of democracy might have become purely procedural. As long as the gears turn and the votes are counted, we call it democracy.
But if the person who comes out of that machine has been legally deemed unfit to even participate in it,
Yeah, have we lost the substance?
it's like a hospital where the chief of surgery had their medical license revoked.
That's a very close analogy.
The board voted him in, but he's legally barred from actually practicing medicine. He's just installed in the office.
He occupies the office, but he lacks the standing to perform the function. The source says this makes the president an outsider installed, not a member elevated.
And that feels a lot closer to a separate ruling class than I think most of us are comfortable with.
It does touch on that danger. If the leader doesn't share the basic rights of the people, are they really a representative?
Okay, so we've gone from the black letter law to the nature of representation itself, but let's ground this for a second.
Sure.
We're not saying this is illegal under current court doctrine, are we?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We have to be crystal clear about that. If you took this to court today, based on strict textualism, the challenge would almost certainly fail.
So if it's technically illegal, why does this whole analysis matter?
Because the argument isn't that it's illegal. The argument is that it is incoherent.
A bug in the code.
A bug in the code. It's
Yeah.
a coherence challenge. It says the law is being read without any regard for its own structural logic. It forces us to ask what we value more, the strict text or the logic that's supposed to make the whole system work.
And that's the eternal tension, isn't it? Text versus purpose.
And in this specific case, that tension is pulled to its absolute breaking point.
So what's the big takeaway for us, for the average person listening?
It reveals something about the fragility of our system. We assume the person leading the country is, by definition, a full member of the citizenry. But structurally, we've left a door open where someone who is legally a sub-citizen can take command.
It really challenges us to think about what representation actually means to us. Is it just a math problem or is it a relationship?
That's it. That difference between installation and representation.
It's crucial. If we're just installing people, that's just management. If we're elevating members to represent us, that's democracy. And the right to vote,
Yeah.
that's the bridge between those two worlds.
It is the credential that makes everything else possible.
Well, this really makes you look at that I voted sticker a little differently, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not just a sticker, it's your proof of membership.
It's your proof that you're part of the principle that the agent has to answer to.
I want to leave everyone with one final thought from the sources, something to chew on. We've established that we have a system where a president doesn't need to represent the people in that classic sense. They just need to occupy a position generated by them. If that's true, does that mean our modern definition of democracy has become purely procedural? Have we divorced the process from the actual substance of who we are?
That is the ultimate question. If the rules allow for absurdity, does the absurdity eventually consume the rules?
A provocative thought to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden structures in the presidency.
Always a pleasure to explore the fine print.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.